Now, as you may know, version 2.7 just dropped, right? And that's the final update in the version 2.x updates before we move on to version 3.0. So let's do a little bit of reflecting. Now, this is the Honkai Star Rail version 2.x tier list. Let's start off with the version 2.0. Obviously, a very huge update, right? This was absolutely an insane patch. It completely changed the game. It added Panaconi. It added a bunch of new characters, right? Sparkle, Black Swan, and Misha. And for that, I'm gonna have to put it at A, right? Now, the way that my tier list will work is I'll have the best updates at A, right? And then the rest go as the following, and then S will be my personal favorite update. Of course, this will be a little bit different for everybody, but that's just how it goes, right? This is very opinion based. This is not this is not like a tier list that I think is factual, right? Otherwise, I would say that version 2.0 would probably have to be the one that goes up in S as the best. But in terms of my likability of the update, 2.0 goes in A because it's not number one for me personally. Next up is 2.1, continuing the Penacony story, having the first anniversary, and having two insane units, right? Acheron and Aventurine. 2.1 is also gonna have to go up in A for me, right? It pretty much is S, but it's not number one, which is why it's going in A. A is still a great tier, by the way. I still like 2.0 in my eyes, and 2.1 are some of the best updates we've ever had. It's just I'm saving my personal favorite update for, you know, S, of course. Next up is 2.2, and this is gonna sound a little bit weird, but the thing is, right, I can't, as much as I would love to, I can't rank an entire update based mostly on the story, right? 2.2 had an amazing story, but everything else was just lackluster, and I feel like that's a big problem with Honkai Star Rail is when they have like good story updates, that's usually when the event side of things kind of fall off a little bit, right? After the main story was lengthy, but after that there wasn't really much else to do. The main event was time gated, and once you actually got to do it, it wasn't that much fun, right? I still think that 2.6's her update right to the space station was more fun than the 2.2 event with the Cosmic Galactic Baseballer. But 2.2, I felt really like there wasn't a lot to do for that. I'm gonna have to put it in B, but it was still a great update. I love the 2.2. I think 2.2 is still better of an update than any of the other 1.x updates that we had, and that might just be on Skibbity. But next up next up is 2.3, and this is gonna sound a little bit strange, but this is what I'll consider as my favorite update in Honkai Star Rail, just in general, not just in 2.x. And that's because of just like the vibe, I guess, right? Everything about it I just loved, right? The conclusion, people like to gloss over on 2.3 a lot, right, when they're doing a little bit of Penacony reflecting, but the conclusion to the Penacony arc, the whole fireworks show with Sparkle, Silverwolf getting mentioned, you know, like being like paying off the thing, right? We saw the crumbs with Jade and Sunday, right, hinting at more to come, which that more to come did end up coming in 2.7, which I'll get into later on. And of course, the Radiant Feldspar, the music, right? We also got Divergent Universe. We got the other events, right? You know, the match 3 I actually thought was pretty fun, especially playing against other people. Stellar Shimmer I also thought was very fun, right? 2.3 had the best events in my opinion. It had the best region. It had the best story. Well, maybe not the best story, but some of the best story we had, right? I think it was a great conclusion, right? And also, I might be a little bit biased because of the banners, right? I personally loved the banners a lot in 2.3, right? I think Firefly was great. Jade is a little but I got every single 5-star rate up in 2.3 other than Argenti because I skipped him, which is kind of funny. I'm free to play, by the way. But 2.3 I just loved in every aspect. It was so fun just grinding Divergent Universe throughout the entirety of July, right? Spending my summer just grinding Divergent Universe and hitting the beach like once a week. It was a great time to be playing Honkai Star Rail. I love 2.3. It'll always be one of my favorite updates of all time. But let's move on. Let's get into the bad, okay? 2.4. 2.4 is gonna have to go in a cold C for me. I didn't really like the story too. It was not bad. It still kept me engaged. I did the whole thing in one sitting. I did it live, but the story was a little. The region, the new map was and the characters. Oh my god, Zhao Chu is not bad, but Yun Li, I think it's just one of the weirdest characters we've ever had in this game. I think she like I would never get her because I have so many Adelons on Clara and a light cone ready for Clara. And also her design I don't like, which doesn't really affect how much I want to pull them, but that's just like the icing on top. Now 2.5 I think was better than 2.4, but it was not good enough to go up there with Honkai Star Rail 2.2, right? 2.2 I think was leagues better than 2.4 or 2.5. But not really much else to say about 2.5. I think the story was a little bit better than 2.4. The exploration of the new map was also better than it was in 2.4. And Topaz finally got to come back in 2.5, which was great. But there were so many banners that I lost to 50-50 on Fei Xiao's banner. Could not get her. But it's annoying, right? There should not be a 50-50 system. It's weird. But whatever. Next up is 2.6, and people consider this as the worst update we've ever gotten in Honkai Star Rail. I loved it. I'm putting it up there in B, right? I think it's up there with 2.2. I actually very much like the story. I like Rappa, right? The event was fine, the main event. The problem was it had too much dialogue. I don't really care about the yap in some of these events, but overall I think 2.6 was great, especially with the unknowable domain in the simulated universe. I thought it was a lot of fun to grind. I love doing it. Truly, I love doing it. So I think 2.6 was the best update we have had in the game since 2.3. I think it was a lot better than 2.4 and 2.5, but there is 2.6. Not much else to say there. Rappa I considered going for, but I even did a couple pulls on her banner, but I eventually skipped her. Now the final update in Honkai Star Rail version 2.x 2.7. Now here's the thing, right? 2.7 was hyped for so long, right? As like this big crazy patch, right? That's what we had in our brain, right? It was gonna be, or in my brain at least, I thought it was gonna be the biggest update I thought it was gonna be like huge, right? Maybe not 2.0 huge, but maybe up there with like 2.1 or 2.2. Instead, we had a story quest that was great, but it only lasted 2.5 hours for me. And the main event I did in one sitting, and I did the main event live, but the main event was one of the worst main events we ever had in Honkai Star Rail. I think it's down there with the bartending event, and it's down there with the movie making event. And as much as I love Ormali, a lot of other people don't like Ormali. I think it's worse than Ormali in every way. I thought it was gonna be like a full-on housing system, because that's what they made it out to be. Come to find out, it's too linear to even be considered a housing system, right? There's not a lot of customization you can do. So it was just 2.7 was a big letdown, right? I thought it was gonna be this crazy update with all these like events and stuff just contributing to the lore and the story. We did get a lot of story, right? You know, actual like progression into the story, right? With Sunday, but you know, spoilers for the 2.7 story, right? You can just go ahead and skip to whatever like timestamp I have on like the screen right now, but the story was a little different from what I expected, right? Sunday joining the Astral Express, you know, I wasn't expecting that. That you know, blew my mind, right? I'm so excited to have Sunday with us, but it kind of feels like Fugue was thrown in there just because, right? I didn't really feel like she did a whole lot. I don't know, that's just me personally. It really felt like they just threw in Fugue just because. And I feel like the story quest was also a little bit short, but that's just me, right? The event I thought was really bad, and so because of that, I'm gonna put 2.7 unfortunately in a D. I think that's one of the worst. It's not a bad update, don't get me wrong, it's just it's too short of an update. I already did the main content. I didn't even play that much. I played like 4 hours. 2 hours for the quest and like 1 or 2 hours for the main event. It was just not a lot of content to do, and even that amount of content was just not good. So I think 2.7 was a little bit of a letdown, right? I don't think it was the best way to transition into version 3.0, but the 3.0, you know, rumors are starting to really shine bright, and it's looking like it's looking like 2.0 all over again. So we absolutely will be there, but that's about it, right? That's my full Honkai Star Rail version 2.x tier list. I'll see y'all. Goodbye.